The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.
What about that? What about that? Hello, good evening, and welcome to a very special episode of the Wednesday week, the one where we talk about the League One Wembley playoff final. After many twists and turns and losses at Forest Green, Rovers, Sheffield Wednesday have found themselves back in the Championship, albeit the hard way. Tonight, I've got a whole host of presenters with me this evening to try and tell us tales of what happened on the day, what happened to Blair, and how they thought the game went. So stay with us for the next hour as we try and ignore our hangovers. They're still going. We're recording this on Thursday as we sign off for the season. How's everybody going? You all right? How's the voices?
Hello.
Oh, so joining me tonight. Joining me tonight, I've got Stevie, Simon, Victoria Windass. Is that your new name? Holly and young Molly as well. Come to say hello. How's it going, Molly? You all right?
I'm good.
Are you actually quite happy you're not at school this week?
Yes, very.
I don't know. How old are you now, Molly? How old are you?
9.
9. How is it possible that a 9-year-old looks like she's had a hangover for a week?
She spends.
I'm tired.
She spends all the time hanging out with her dad. That's what problem is.
The fumes.
It was just us two this weekend, and she was the responsible one out of the two of us. To be fair, so
there was a bit where we're outside the Nag's Head on. I think it was on the. Was it the Sunday, Molly?
Sunday,
I just saw you, and I didn't see anybody around you, so I'm waving you over, going, "Come here," and you looked at me in that way that kids your age do, like, "Who's this?" And I went, I couldn't tell if you had a grown-up with you. And in my head, I'd said it really calm, cool, and collected. I was 6 pints in. I didn't at all. And she looked at me and went, "I've got a grown-up." As if to say, "Stupid, can you not see it?" And then just sat off.
Where was I?
That's right. You just said you were at the bar, right? So I knew you weren't here. And I saw Molly and I thought, right, okay, I better do a grown-up here. She already had one, apparently. I don't know who it was, but...
The parenting 101 in the middle of Covent Garden. I've just said, "Wait here, Molly. I'm just off to the bar."
Didn't you fob her off with your sister, Steve?
I mean, fobbing her off's like, yeah, maybe.
I think the words were, "I've managed to get rid of her. She's going with my sister." When they go to the museum or something.
Shut up.
While you were going, chug, chug, chug.
Yeah. So anyway, let's crack on. So obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that Holly, Vic, and Simon have not got changed since Monday. This has been their usual attire. We've got buckets, hats in. If you can hear any jangling, that's Holly's balls flicking around on a hat. You look, Stevie, you're gonna have to run me by this one. Am I allowed to say that Holly looks like Stevie Wonder in negative, or is that racist?
I'm all right with it. You know what?
All
I'm
right.
all right with it. Can she do this?
Jingle.
Oh God, it is.
Yeah, isn't it? Like, oh, there we are. That's set the tone early doors, hasn't it? Right then. So I tell you what we're going to do tonight. Let's share some stories of Wembley. Let's try and talk about some of the people we've met, because I've met some people this weekend that I forgot existed. You know, people from junior school. I was there with Blair for most of the day, and so you know, I'll start. So I was the one looking up. Blair sent me his ID. I was the one that managed to sign up for the ticket, so I had Blair's ticket with me, and he said to me, "Meet me in Madame Tussauds." Now, obviously, the nearest station to Madame Tussauds is Baker Street. And when you walked out of Baker Street, it was just an absolute sea of blue and white. It was unpleasant. And then I looked over to the distance outside Madame Tussauds, and there was what can only be described as one of them worm people off of Men in Black wearing a Sheffield Wednesday shirt. just with his big glasses on, going, "All right, I've had some whiskey on the tube." He was absolutely shat-faced, right, already, right. So, and I met him at midday. So we went for a fancy pint, paid £7 for one. Got, they didn't serve crisps. You could buy a bowl of chips, though. You know, that type of pub. You know where you have eggs Benedict and they put rocket on it and then charge you an extra £5. One of those types of places. It were fancy. We're fancy, me and Blair, apparently. And then we just proceeded to just put more beer in Blair, and it was amazing. I met a couple of people that listened to the show queuing up for a coffee. There was one bit where I turned. I said, I'm going to have to put coffee in this kid. So I bought 2 espressos, and I met a guy who listens to the show, lovely geezer he was as well. And as I passed Blair his espresso, he's just turned into me and chucked it all down my sleeve. So this shirt behind me has got this big map of Africa down the side.
Is that what it was?
I
saw you stains.
Yeah. So that's what that was. But yeah, so I tell you what, Simon, let's start with you. What about Sunday then? How did that go?
Sunday was amazeballs. We were communicating. We're going down from Warwickshire, and we were communicating with Ash as he was coming down, because Ash turned up at Retford and his train was cancelled.
Oh yeah, we had train issues as well, didn't we?
Yeah, and they said go to Grantham and get off, and Ash didn't, so he just went straight through and blagged it all the way into London. So we were meeting him in Covent Garden, but we actually bumped into him at the station halfway at Baker Street where we changed, which was proper timing. So at 1:30, there was 6 of us, the only Wednesdayites in Covent Garden. What was it like when you turned up, Dan?
I got there at 3:30, and there must have been 300 people still outside the tiniest boozer in London. And then by 6, I remember thinking, toss to this. Because it was just disgusting. Oh, God, it was... Oh,
it was absolutely fantastic. It was everything I wanted it to be, with flares and pyros and kids stood on telephone boxes shushing everybody and then starting football songs. Kids, bear in mind, who looked like they were 45.
Well, this is it, right? Right? So I get teased for having Yorkshire face down here. Right? What do we do to our kids? Some of our kids look like they're on their 2nd divorce and they're disgraced UKIP councillors. You know what I mean? And they're all like 14. What we're doing with them?
That's just happened over this season. They were really useful at that.
It was the 7-year-old holding the flare that got me. Yeah. And my missus, Joanne, stood beside me going, who gave him the flare? Who gave him the flare? And I'm going, it's awesome, isn't it? And she's like panicking. He's going to get 3rd-degree burns.
The amount of times I heard an excuse for everything that was just terrible behaviour, terrible parenting choices, all the rest of it. And we all just went, Wendy, innit? And they just carried on. And then that made everything all right. What about you, Steve? How was your weekend?
Weekend, it's been a full one, hasn't it? It's been mental. We went, came down my sister-in-law, my nephew, parked up at Watford Junction, had to commute all the way in. Did the 2-night stay was a last-minute thing, so I've had to switch hotels and what have you. But met up with Simon a little bit before you, I think it was. About 2:00, was it? 1:30, 2:00. Jumped on just as it was starting to get going. But yeah, everything that Si's just said, you could see it bubbling. And it was when one of the lads turned up, Ben Leonard turned up with the masks, the face masks that he'd been doing for Chase Triathlon. And I knew he'd done it. And if anybody has got him on Twitter or Instagram, social media and so forth, we'll know that it was absolutely incredible. The stuff that he's done from a sentimental point of view in terms of supporting Shay's efforts and what have you. But I thought it'd be a lot more sort of corporate and organised than he was. He's literally turned up in Covent Garden outside Nag's Head with a rucksack full. And I've turned around, I've had a couple of beers in the morning and said, I need a Liam Palmer mask. And he literally just went, mate, wait right there. Dipped into this rucksack, pulled one out, stuck it on Molly's face.
Put it on, Steve, and it actually aged you when you put it on.
But that was it, and that was the tone from there. It was like, right, I'm not sure. He'll tell you otherwise. I'm not sure he had a plan. But within half an hour, they were literally dozens of Liam Palmers, Will
The
Volts,
Lee
George
Gregory
Byron.
one. The Lee Gregory
my
one was
God.
the mask where
The
he's
mask.
screaming. And like I said before, some of our kids from Yorkshire aren't pretty, but when they've got that mask on with that hunch bloody walk that they do, it's bloody terrifying, isn't it? You've got kids, because I was the same. I'm a Yorkshire kid, just walking nose ears and big flapping hands was me when I was like a teenager. Stick that Lee Gregory mask on, it's all gone to bits.
It almost reminded me of, I don't know if you remember it, the Reeves and Mortimer Stars in Their Eyes stuff, where they put the
All right, Holly. So it's been a big weekend for yourself. God, that's a right outfit. I tell you what. Now it's worth saying that if you can see Holly right now, she's got the flag, the inflatable banana behind her in what looks like a study with one or two books. They're probably all the same one. It's probably all Alex Miller's 91 book. I don't know. But it's worth noting that your partner and your son are both Barnsley fans as well, innit? So has that behind you been a mainstay in the house since you got back on Monday?
I have to keep hiding some of this stuff because Charlie keeps trying to pop this banana. Disgusting. But I have woken him up every single day for the week before Wembley singing Jack Hunt scores the winning penalty, which they did not appreciate, particularly given how close it got to penalties. They didn't appreciate that at all.
So what about your weekend then? I mean, our journey down, I mean, the photos I was getting from you with your dad with your little flamingo hats on was pretty spectacular.
Well, we got the train early from Ponty, and just before the train pulled up, a bunch of Barnsley fans turned up and they just looked at us and were like, "Are you shitting it as much as we are?" Like, I think so. And they were brilliant, and we chatted about it, and neither could really pin what was going to happen. But yeah, it was just a steady away journey down. And like I say, we met quite a few Barnsley fans before the game who were all brilliant, but equally shitting it.
Did your husband and son travel with you, Holly?
No, we don't travel with them. They went on
I'm sorry. Only your husband and your child.
No, they went on a separate train. So yeah, we saw them very briefly switching through King's X, but we did not see them after that. No,
it was a steam train, wasn't it? Because it was from Barnsley, so it would have been a steam train.
It was just him and the child just pumping it,
yeah,
like that scene out of Blazing Saddles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll move swiftly on. Anyway, so you got down there, had a hell of a day on it, and illegally fed me booze from your trousers. So good day out. And
Absolutely.
then big photo of your dad in the program as well. Like, who else? Who else was it going to be?
I know. Can't take him anywhere, can you? You'd think they did try and put him in the fold so you couldn't see his face, didn't they? But
yeah, I love that they put like a staple down the middle of his face. Are you not a bit annoyed about that picture, Hol? That the fact that you're next to him and you're just a mass of hair, just like they've edited you out, essentially.
When all those pictures were taken last week, they seem to all have got me when I fell through the chair. So that was really
There was a bit we were celebrating at the end of that, and I had the old of the back of your jeans just because I got up there, had the worst photo of me ever taken from the Sheffield Star, fell through the gap. So I went, she's going to fall off there because standing on those Wembley seats, not great for everybody. Rubbish. You drove down, didn't you, Vic? Bloody hell. That's a day out, isn't it? What time did you leave?
Well, don't forget I broke my back the Monday before. So
She never mentions it. She never brings it up.
I don't like to talk about it. I have a habit of falling down these stairs, don't I? Like, there was a night me and you came back absolutely ratted after tram lines, and I came up for a good night cuddle, and then he sent me to bed, and I just went all the way down. But I didn't break anything that time. Just had literally a purple bum. But no, this time
I didn't get out of bed to see if you were all right either. That's
didn't.
The worst bit.
I landed, and you went, "You're right, love."
Right.
Like, yeah. All right, night. I was like, night. So that hurt, which meant that I missed the Peterborough game, which is the most painful thing that's ever happened to me, including
so literally while we were having the comeback of the ages, you were sat with a broken back.
I was sat in a rubber ring. Well, Oh, I don't know if it is. It's
Please tell me it's some kind of hemorrhoid pillow or something. Oh,
dog's collar thing for when she has operations and that. So I was sat on that, and I heard every goal go in before I saw it on telly. What dodgy guy. And then I listened to the penalties on the bin with my next door but 2 neighbour because he's a Wednesdayite, and he couldn't get a ticket. So yeah, so it was a bit of a shitter. But then I got in a bit of a panic about the train situation and whatever, and I just said to my mate, I was like, look, I'll just drive. I'll drive down, park at Luton. To be fair, very easy drive. Like, I would highly recommend it if you're going into London. Like, it's brilliant.
how is it with a broken back?
Not great. Yeah, 2 stops. One we met Yara, so that was exciting.
Yeah. Did he have a half in half shirt on?
He did. And then the other one we had a bacon sandwich, so buzzing.
Great.
Yeah, so it was a long 300-mile round trip to do in quite a lot of pain, but it was worth it. 12 quid for 2 nights at Luton. Can't complain, really. It's like
so other towns are available. Vic now listed just a travel plan.
honestly, if you're driving into London, I swear to God, it's the best way to do it.
It's a Premier League town now, though, so that'll be
exactly.
Has anybody seen that away end? Has anybody seen it? Okay, so listen, I've got the highlights queued up, so we can go through it. But I just wanted to talk about your feelings beforehand, Simon. So I always believed that before this game kicked off, whoever scored first would have won. Right? I feel that if Barnsley had scored first, they'd have absolutely killed it dead. And if we'd have scored first, would have smashed them 3-0. I mean, what did you think?
After the second second leg, I thought we were going to win it. I just thought that we had that belief, that conviction to go score 4 goals, then go a goal down, then get a goal back, and then win on penalties. I really, really thought we were going to win it from start to finish. Turned up. I was nervous in the morning. Don't get me wrong. I didn't. You know what? With Hull, I actually thought we shot our load against Brighton, and Hull was a bit more of a party. I actually think that we took the game fans as well took the game a lot more seriously on Monday.
It's a long way to go to lose, isn't it? It
is. Oh man. I cannot even comprehend what would have happened if we had lost, especially in Holly's. It would have been #pray for Holly.
Well, this is it, right? So I've come to you about it. What about you, Holly? How were you feeling before the game? Did you have any trepidation whatsoever? Because listen, the voice note that we keep playing on this show, and I've deleted it. I'm really annoyed about it. The one where you just go, "Shit, you're all shit." After we lost to Barnsley and our season went to shit, your life was pretty unbearable for a week. How did you feel beforehand?
So I really didn't know how it was going to go. I just kept thinking about both of those Barnsley games this season have just been so awful for me. And like how I know everyone keeps saying that we played really well at their place, but we won't go back into that.
Still,
so I still can't really say that I fancied us. So I just kept singing loads of Wednesday songs all week to cheer myself up. Psych them out.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what then. Right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick a couple of the highlights up through the game, and I'll not lie, there aren't many. It weren't a pretty game of football, were it? You know what I mean? So I've got all in all 11 highlights here to discuss. So I tell you what, listen, Stevie, listen out for the first name in this next clip.
Now Liam Palmer. Patterson was trying to get there. Iorfa did. Kept out by Eisted. Desperately want to get it a yard either side, and you think Harry Eisted would be in a bit of trouble.
So that was 10 minutes in, right? So remember that was. So Palmer puts the cross in. Iorfa manages to get through defenders really well, Steve. I mean, it's tight, that one, innit? He just needed half an inch on his boot, didn't he?
Yeah, the contact was decent, wasn't it? It's Iorfa, but he's ended up putting it straight down the goalkeeper's throat, hasn't he? And I think for me, I think that's within the first 10 minutes, wasn't it? And the worry was, all the noises that were coming out were if Barnsley score early, like they did at their place. And as you've just said earlier on, it's going to be a long afternoon, and my thoughts going into it were, you can say it's going to go one of two ways, but the most Sheffield Wednesday thing of all would have been to lose 4-0, to come back and go through and win on penalties, and then lose to Barnsley in the playoff final. Would have been literally Wednesday. And so it was important, and I say that because I thought it was important that we started well, and I don't think we started badly by any stretch of the imagination. And I think it was us that were more nervous than the players. It felt like that because we were worried about what was going on. But the ball in, lots of sort of instances like that where we peppered their box. And I'll stand corrected. I think that was just off a set piece, a corner or something. That's why I also found him up there. It's a little bit of a blur, but it's one of those where you go.
It's the other end of the pitch. I didn't know what.
It's the other end of the pitch, and I was several beers deep on the second day of drinking. But it's a shot on target, and from there we sort of. It's almost like even though we didn't score, we were setting our stall out with it, weren't it? We're not making mistakes at the back. We're not repeating the things that we'd done at Oakwell a month and a half ago previously.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I'm thinking, do you know what? We're all right here. So yeah, not too bad a start.
Not too shabby. I tell you what, Simon, I'm going to come to you for this next clip, and then Vic, I'm going to come to you for this one after, because the third one, the one after Vic, is Cameron Dawson, and I feel that. And I feel like he needs an advocate in the room. You know what I mean? So Simon, this one's for you.
Bobby Thomas is preparing to launch this for Barnsley. Anderson rising. How does the referee see that? That would be a relieved man because he clearly kicks Liam Kitchen's calf.
Stonewall penalty, that weren't it, Simon? Now let's not forget.
No.
No, not having it. Not a Stonewall?
No. It's just. Is that the one they've been? Is that the one they've been talking about? All the Dingles have been saying that it was Stonewall penalty.
That's the
right,
one.
because I did actually look at it on a phone on Monday night, but I had a few beers in Covent Garden after the match, and I was really hungry, and I got shown it on an iPhone, and at that point I went, "It's not a penalty, that." That's the first time I've seen it on anything larger. No, they both go out for the ball. He tried to kick the ball. He didn't take it. No, basically no. And it went to VAR, and VAR said no. So if VAR said no, and it's good enough for the Premiership, it's good enough for League One, going up in the Championship. So there you go. Bollocks to
you. So we've just been joined by Blair, who's where are you in the world, Blair? You're on holiday right now, aren't you? All right, he's frozen.
He's not coming on.
He actually looked like he was on the loo. He looked like he was sat on the toilet.
Yeah, he did,
just
didn't he?
just saying, I'm only listening, I'm not coming on, and then you put him on screen.
I've got a lot going on here. All right, Blair.
But no, it wasn't. No.
Welcome to the listening party. So is that it, Si?
No, it was. Well, God Almighty! I know you didn't agree with the Oxford. I know you say it was a penalty. It was a penalty at Oxford, but Jesus Christ, it wasn't.
It's not a penalty. It's
not a penalty.
Absolutely not. I'm sorry. I know.
It's not. He lashes out for the ball and catches the man, doesn't he? And the guy's already out of control, and the ball's gone away from him.
But that's a penalty, isn't it? Because he tries to kick the ball and it's gone.
It's not a penalty.
It's not a penalty.
It's a penalty. It is. And I keep saying, I wish they'd got it because they've had one penalty this season and missed it. And so just have it and then miss it, and then we can all carry on and we haven't cheated you.
I absolutely love how people are listening to the audio of this and Holly just plays a tune every time.
Why didn't they get the ref to have a look at it? I don't understand that.
Because it was that obvious it wasn't a penalty. That's why.
Does he kick his leg without kicking the ball?
2 feet come together. That's it. 2 feet come together.
2 feet come together. It happens on
makes
pitches
it sound
all
really
the time.
He kicks him, and he does not touch the ball.
It's also right. It's also worth mentioning that the first highlight was 10 minutes in. That was the first minute of the second half.
I
played
say,
there. So
I
literally nothing else happened.
I was actually drinking with you, Dan, and I came in and I missed the first 5 minutes, and I came in and I went back up to AD and Ethan came up with me, and we were like, why did it take you so long to do this throw in? And AD's like, VAR. And I went, Pardon? What? What?
Yeah.
What? So
yeah.
I didn't actually see it. That's the first time I've seen it. I didn't see it live.
They
But
probably
not a
asked
penalty.
that ref from Plymouth game, what fourth official. They probably asked him. He's got a bit of VAR.
It's Howard Webb and his mates. So we went to, so bear in mind at this point now, Simon and I are still drinking. People kept passing us pints, didn't they?
Oh,
Somebody came up.
That
Geezer
bloke
went,
came up with four beers and went, I bought these for mates, but we've already had some. You can have them.
it was Donkin. Is it Bobby Donkin? Is that name on Twitter? He went, Fudge, do you want these? I've just bought them and nobody come down and went, all right, yeah. As a result, we missed that and we also missed this.
Thomas with the throw. Sent back in by Cannon, deflected off the bar. Actually, it's deliberate deflection from Liam Kitching. This is nearly absolutely brilliant.
So they hit the crossbar as well, while me and Si are still supping his beers.
Didn't see
So
that either.
listen, Vic, Dawson was nowhere to be seen on that, were he? Didn't even move.
Do you know what? I've watched that bit back a few times now because I thought that at first, but actually, I think, yeah, it would have gone in, had it been an inch low or whatever, but it didn't. And for me, that match, he was absolutely outstanding, as he has been for the majority of this season. He's had his off days, we know he has, but I think he just knew. I think that deflection, the guy that stuck his head to it, fucked it up. So
made it worse. Worse.
Oh, he did, didn't he? I think if you watch it back, there was a chance that if it had dropped down and someone else had got hold of it in the 6-yard box, they could have toe poked it in, a la Gregory. But
now
he just thought he'd have a go, and obviously was very, very close, but no cigar.
I don't think Dawson could have done much about it if it was on target.
No.
To be fair, if it was in 1 half of the goal. But like I said, Steve, right? So Simon and I were still supping at this point. Is this the point where you thought they're going to score here? They came out the second half raring and go a bit, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Do you know what? It's the fast start that you're half expecting. And at that point, with the shot that then has been deflected on, that I think there were little pockets here and there. And I've looked back and I've watched the whole sort of extended highlights. On reflection, and I know I'm digressing a little bit, I don't think it was this whole notion that Barnsley were miles better than us. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't agree with it. I'm sorry, I don't.
Allow me to help you out with an infographic. Right? So
100%.
Oh, God, who gave you a computer?
I was bored this afternoon. It's not like I've gone to work. So the Barnsley seem to have taken away some kind of
moral victory.
Moral victory that they were better. I honestly couldn't shout that we've had 22 shots on goal and 8 on target, but I was looking through here. There aren't many Barnsley shots on target.
No, not at all. And you know what? The thing is that we've not got to it yet. They're going to argue about the red card, and I don't want to preempt what we're about to talk about based on the chronology of the game. They actually got better after the red card.
Do you know what? I've always said that when a team goes down to 10 men, everybody digs a bit deeper, and the team with the numbers tend to think that they can walk it, and everybody drops it down one, they step up one. Yeah.
We've done it over the last 20, 30 years. It can go 50-50. It can go that you either step up, hashtag step up, or you sit back and you go, we've lost it. And I think they genuinely stepped up for that. I think they went for it, and he was like a key player for them as well.
Well, let's go to it. So don't forget, like Simon and I are still drinking underneath the stadium right now.
Phillips has just made that challenge, and the Sheffield Wednesday players aren't happy with it. Straight red. Adam Phillips is sent off at Wembley in the League One playoff.
Holly, no question, right?
We've had lots of debates about this in our house because them both think that that's not a red card.
He's left the floor. One of his feet is literally tearing towards a geezer.
I thought it was bad at the time. One of the crowd actually went ooh, and then and then he give it. So I mean, it just is blatantly a red card, isn't it?
I mean,
Dan,
Simon,
to quote,
you've go on.
Quote, there's a man on Twitter called Dan B1057013 on Twitter, great username,
Catchy.
who tweeted us both and said, "If I'd have done that to someone in Meadowhall," and it's true, isn't it? You can't go around doing it. It's a red card.
It's a red card. But actually, even though you guys like rightly say that they got better after the card, I think that helped us because we're a lot older, and I think we've 11 young, very young people running at us for 123 minutes.
Yeah,
a bad idea.
Was it you that sent the stat today where we had the oldest squad and they had the youngest average age?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Quite considerably older as well.
Yeah, by like 6 years. So the average age of the Barnsley squad is 23 summer and ours is 29 summer. Like, so experience won in the day, Simon. So how does that make you feel?
Everyone's a winner. When I see ages of being, 29 and 23 as a 52-year-old, I'm going, what's the freaking difference? They're both in their 20s. You know, what? It's not until you get into your 40s that your suddenly things start dropping off and hurting a lot more, and that's just getting out of bed in the morning.
If you add 29 and 23, what does it make?
So Simon's the average age of both squads. So that's it.
That's it. And I wouldn't have made 12 minutes, as it's been proven in our 5-a-sides on a Friday night with me and Ash. Because Ash, sorry, I digress, but has anybody been to Covent Garden tube station? And we all have. And you have a choice between a lift or 193 steps, right?
Did Ash go up the stairs?
On Sunday morning, carrying his case with what effectively looked like 3 testicles because his groin was popping out after playing football on Friday, then climbed 193 steps.
I bet he was doing kick-ups with it by the end.
I
bet he had a small fire.
We all went through, and Joanne went, "We need to wait for Ash." And we all turned around, and I actually thought, because he was that long, he died on the stairs. He was that long.
Can I just tell you something about Covent Garden tube station that hasn't come out on sort of any social media, but I found out yesterday. So I was on the tram into town to go to, I was going into the office to kill some time before the town hall. And I saw a friend of the show, Matt Ixton, and he'd got on the tube. He'd gone into Covent Garden tube station after, like, at night on the Monday. And apparently there were like 3 random tourists and then just all Wendy, who were all bouncing up and down. The tube lift broke halfway down. They got stuck. He's got the video of it. It is honestly, it's priceless.
We actually did that going up. So when we got back from the match, we got on, and these the Wednesdayites got on, and they were singing "If You Don't Flipping Bounce." Yeah. And as this tube lift's going up, because Ash went, "There's no way I'm doing them stairs again." It's going up, and the lift's doing this, and there were 2 tourists in there filming us. So like, one
of these women was crying. The other one was screaming into her husband's chest, like, "This is my worst nightmare." The lift got stuck. They were waiting for ages. They had to bring the other lift down next to it. At which point, Matt's got this all on film. At which point, they opened like these internal doors and had to put a metal plank across. People had to crawl across.
No way.
Shut up.
The video
that sounds like something from the Poseidon Adventure.
Honestly, it's like chuffing Final Destination, isn't it? As people, he's got the video of people coming out like 40-year-old blokes coming across like a face like a tomato. But he said he was like, I didn't tweet it because I didn't want to cause any trouble. But honestly, it is the funniest thing I've ever seen. So funny.
Sorry to digress there, Dan. Apologies.
No, it's all right. Listen, I'm just happy for Ash that he got himself a Manscaped 4.0 bundle, so he didn't get any chafage whilst walking up those stairs. If you do enter TWW20 into Manscaped, you can get yourself a 20% discount. So that's nice, isn't it? So anyway, see, I got that in. I did really well. Synergy, that is. Right, then, so we went forward. That was a Stonewall penalty. I don't think Stonewall sending off. I don't think anybody's got any objection to that. And then we had this.
Here come Wednesday, though, and the ball was diverted goal. It's brilliant save from Eisner because he had to readjust. How did he readjust? Well, I don't know, frankly. This is unbelievable.
That was right in front of us, and I have no recollection of that until I was putting this video reel together today. Holly, were you there, right?
If there was a camera facing the other way,
yeah,
seeing our faces, I don't know how he. That camera view from behind the goal is pretty much like near enough where we were in it. So
yeah, the Bannon shot that we get later on.
Yeah,
we had
I don't know how we managed to do that. I thought their keeper played really well, actually.
Apart from the goal itself, he actually made some absolute barnstormer saves, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think so. That actually came after the Bannon chance because my videos were in a wrong order. So this was at the other end, and I felt like about 15 minutes in, we settled a little bit, and then this came in.
Darren Moore will want to try and control the game here. Bannon again, nicely done. Barry Bannon. On his weaker right foot, but he nearly delivered. I'll tell you what,
If that had gone in, I'd have lost my mind. I'd have been really happy for Barry Bannon to get a goal in the final. That'd have been amazing. Can you imagine? Like I'm chuffed for Windass and this fifth. It's weird actually because I was at the Bristol City Hull Wembley final when his dad scored the winner, and I've just watched his son do the same thing 15 years later, and realizing that was 15 years ago made me very upset. and in true Dan Fudge fashion, just before the goal went in, I demanded that the catering manager for Wembley Stadium came out and saw me while I told him about how terrible his catering facilities were at Wembley Stadium. 18 pints deep a cider because it was a Bristolian day. Yeah, I absolutely carried him off. I went, this is a farce. And the hilarious thing is, it's none better 15 years later. In fact, if anything, it's worse. But we'll get onto that. So I thought we were creeping in now. I thought, the game's going on, Vic. I thought, we're going to win this. This is when I started to believe. What about you?
I believe like Simon said, I believe from the first minute. I believed on the way down. I think for me, there were a lot of things that happened that day that, we had reasons, all of us, that we needed to win that match. And for me, I was just like, I was going down. My mum and dad weren't going because they were going on holiday the next day. And my dad can't really walk that far now. But when I got there, I got separated from my friend who had travelled with, John. And we was in blue, I was in green. I needed a wee. I was like, I'd rather just queue and go in. Stuart said we could go in together. We couldn't. So I lost him. So inside I texted a friend of the show, ex-podcaster, Eddie Holland. I just said, entrance, are you in? Like, are you in the Bobby Moore bit? Because I thought they'll have gone for posh seats. They're loaded. And it turned out that they were literally on the row in front of me. So not only was I sat next to our kid, who is my best friend in the whole world, I was also sat a row behind my godson. So for me,
so you were Eddie and Tom and Laura. Was it all four of them there?
Tom was right in front of me, so I got the biggest cuddles of my 16-year-old godson that normally won't have all to do with me. So for me, as soon as I saw that, I was like, this is written in the stars. And also, right, people will mock me for this, mock away. But when my granddad was alive, he always used to say he'd leave us money. And he had this joke that he couldn't afford to leave us pound coins. He'd always leave us 5p's. And we always find 5p's everywhere. And I don't have cash at any point. I came home on Sunday night from my friends who I was going to Wembley with, put my sunglasses down on the side, went to pick them up to put in my handbag, and there was a 5p. I took it with us to Wembley. So that 5p was in my handbag at Wembley as well. So as soon as that happened, I was like, now we've got this. So no, for me, from first whistle, we were going to win it.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Right, so now, Stevie, there's an actual bit of football, actual bit of quality that happened in this game.
So they can utilise that now. Norwood has used his body really well. Norwood, and Dawson reacts. It's flying.
I've got to give it Dawson. That's a good save on his near post. But I felt that Norwood was a bit ball greedy there, wasn't he? Should he have shot there? Would you have shot there? I mean, come on. I know he's one of their better players, and it was a good save by Dawson. You've got credit where it's due, but he should have passed it, right? There was nobody picking up on a back stick.
I remember that, and I think that was the moment. There were the two moments they had. There were that one and one a little bit later, a notorious miss, and they were the two where I thought we're in the shit here. Oh, sorry, Molly, we're in trouble here.
In the build up to that goal, there's 2 points where we're really, really lightweight as well.
Yeah.
Just
So
pushes them off like that.
it's James, isn't it? That he literally just goes, and he's off, and
It's
I
a bit
go
like
back
you
to the,
tackling Molly like, but
well, other way around. To be fair, other way around. I go back to the game at Hillsborough and their big play. Obviously, we talked about Norwood. We talked about Luke O'Connell being a threat and one or two other players. Norwood was the one for me because when we played at our place, he got subbed on and scored with his first touch. And he was the player that I just thought, he's got history of doing it in the playoffs as well. Big physical shithousing centre forward. For me, he was their threat. And when he did that, I think James has claimed a foul, and I just thought you've got to be bigger and stronger. There's a conversation for another time about what that made James look like, and I'm a big fan of Reece James. If Norwood's doing that to him, but he's then taken it in and he's driven, and I thought the shot was an absolute, for the angle that it was at, and it's not just a tap, is it? He's absolutely leathered it. The quality of the shot, I've got no argument with him taking that shot there. Obviously, on a Wednesday night, and he's done that and saved it. But it could have gone the other way. But yeah, that was one or two moments where I thought, we might have a problem here.
Absolutely, I you know what I mean. What about you, Simon? Did you think, hang on a minute, they're gonna get in here? You could see them just on the break, just sniffing forward, couldn't you?
Well, did they bring Norwood on after the sending off? I think they did.
I couldn't tell you. I was
normally I think their plan is to bring him on later. That's what they did at Hillsborough, and they brought him on later when we're knackered.
He made it a lot more physical when he came on, and he did give Reece James a torrid time on that left wing because it's chalk and cheese, isn't it? You look at the size of the two of them, and the physicality. He really struggled with that physicality, and that's when Barnsley sort of started making inroads, but again, and we'll obviously see the miss in a bit from them. What that save, I was the other way. I was like, we're going to win this. We're going to win this. This is us.
I tell you what, not long after that,
we're only happy ones, aren't we?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I was absolutely K-lied, but so we had this one.
Facing the end game here at Wembley. Gregory, Smith sticks out a boot. Istead got to it. An incredible.
So, absolute elite save from their keeper. This was 8 minutes into extra time now, so you know what I mean. It's that was a wondrous save for me. And if you watch it back, the slow motion replays are incredible. The way he's managed to switch his body and get round. But what about this one?
Incredible. Now the break could be on, and it drops here to Luke Thomas. Connell making his way forward, but he didn't punish Sheffield Wednesday. The break was on.
Now, I've just cut it early there, and I should have let it play. If you watch the angle from behind the Sheffield Wednesday fans, you'd have probably had that view of it, Vic, actually, from where you were sat. That is one of the worst misses I've ever seen.
It was awful. It was one of them. As soon as he kicked it, we all went, "Way!" Like there was no chance.
It was awful. My heart was in his eyes.
Johnson shot. Yeah,
it did all the work. Go on,
I said earlier about if you could see the view from behind the players to the crowd, if you'd have seen our faces, because I thought they were going to score, because I thought the first guy was going to have the shot, and I still thought that were a reasonably good chance. And then when they switched it, I thought, oh, that's good. That's exactly what they should have done. I was just like,
yeah,
no.
They did everything right. Go on, Simon.
We were at the side, bang on line with them three running in, and you could see each player. You could see the play. You could see the play from the right to the middle to the left, and I just thought, well, my heart just sank, and I thought, that's it. We're out. We're done.
Just to get it on time,
and you just have to. You're exactly right, Holly. I was also thinking, where the hell have our defenders gone? We've got an extra man, and they've like, were they in the bar with us, Dan, at some point? I mean, I was just like, where is everybody? There was nobody chasing back. It was like, and when he missed it again, I went back to, we're going to win this.
Dawson must have thought, oh shit.
Yeah,
And then moments later, I lost my mind.
Ball of Nicky Cadden. There's Hunt. Hunt's ball, the shot is brilliant! Wilborg strikes, but the flag is up. Wilborg celebrates. He's head over heels. However, the flag is up for now. It will be checked. They haven't seen it. I've got to be honest, my first impression.
Oh, God.
Apparently, the flag went up straight away. But as soon as it left his boot, we just all like went crazy and completely missed that. In fact,
out of every goal I've ever celebrated, that is my favourite goal I've ever celebrated, even though it was offside. Because for
when we
me,
were about to kick off again, we were like, why are they kicking off from there?
Have you seen the interview with Volksy afterwards?
I got one at a fucking time here. Sure.
Sorry.
Right. Vic enjoyed it. She celebrated that one. She was laughing. And you were talking about what?
Who, me? The interview Volks afterwards. And he said, so you scored at Wembley, but you didn't. And he went, I'm still telling my son. And if he Googles it in future years, his son can only be young, then I'm going to make sure that they don't actually say it's offside.
Yeah, it's going to be a clip uploaded by Will Volk's Wembley 23 account. You know what I mean? And that's the only video that account's ever uploaded.
Fantastic finish. What a finish.
I do remember thinking for like a split second, how has Hunt got onto that? Which is obviously because
because it was acres offside.
Well, it must have been all right.
Just using the space, weren't it, Vic?
Yeah, I think, like I said, for me, that is my favourite Sheffield Wednesday goal I've ever celebrated, because I had no idea until everyone else kind of realised and Volks realised and whatever else. We were just going mental, and it was just like, for us, it was such a moment. Just my auntie kind of like stood back, and it was just me and our kid just like beside ourselves that we'd seen a Wednesday goal at Wembley. It didn't matter. As soon as we knew we'd win it anyway. I'm like Simon, from the minute I walked into that ground, we were winning it. So I knew it was going to happen. I knew it wasn't going to get to penalties. But I was just like, that for me will forever be in my memory, because my heart stopped. Like, I've never felt anything like my watch went off saying I completed my goal 8 times over as that went in. Like, ridiculous. Like, so for me, I'm like, yeah, all right, it was offside, but it was a phenomenal strike. And
did you get the heart monitor one that said, "Caution, your heart's about to pop out your chest"?
It was like you're in loud decibels and all this. But for me, it's like I've seen. Obviously, we went on and we scored another. But I thought, do you know what? Even if we walk out of here today and we've not won, I have celebrated a goal at Wembley with our kid. That's it. That's all that mattered.
Yeah, in it. And so like, I thought that when they disallowed that goal, because there's a thing about, you know, when a bloke says to you, "Oh, it's offside," I heard that somewhere, and I saw that bloke pulling that Yorkshire face. You know the type of person that don't shut their mouth when they're not using it, like, you know what I mean? One of them people. If it's offside, I went, oh, and there's something about you want to punch the guy that's told you it's offside. Like, you know what I mean? Not his fault, but you're like, well, I tell you what, have some of this. And so, no, I think it's about 4 minutes later. Say again, Molly.
I thought I told my dad that. I told him we were offside.
Yeah, you were probably going to get beatings at that point. It's you probably got quite the look. So we fast forward, right? We've got to the end of extra time, and I'm thinking that was our chance gone. That was it. And I started to get angry. I was like, why has it gone to penalties? Where the bloody hell has Windass been? So I turned to this man, and he had a T-shirt on that when he spoke to me, it looked like this one. Now, if anybody's been to Cornwall in the 90s, or you went back to school, everybody who'd been to Cornwall had a Fat Willie Surshak T-shirt on. This geezer came on, and I don't know if he was wearing one, but I turned around to him, and this is how it went. I went, Windass has been bloody rubbish. He's been absolutely ineffective. I can't believe he's still on the pitch, and we've took Barry Bannon off. And then
Nicky Cadden.
it's worth noting right now that I've played the wrong clip. So enjoy it and listen to me try and rescue it back. Thought I'd leave it in for you folks. And then
Denny Bashiru. Is there time for a winner? Is there? It is! Josh Windass! It's a goal which has promotion written all over it.
I lost my mind. And then celebrated, hugged everybody around me, and then turned back round to the geezer and went, and let me tell you about bloody Josh Windass. Let me tell you. Absolutely finish it off. So, right, so I tell you what, let's just go through it. Stevie, that goal went in. What did you do?
I turned to my sister. I picked Molly up. We've got a thing. I'll pick you up, Donna.
Yeah.
So I picked her up, threw her in the air. I was randomly, and I know people have said that they were sat close by with people that they know. Out of 45,000 people, I ended up sat with 3 lads that I played in the charity game that I'd played with the day before. They were next to me. I've jumped on Westy, who were there. I've then turned to my sister. My sister's crying her eyes out. I'm honestly, it's what this club does. In all seriousness, you know, unless you're invested in something like this, it's just mental, isn't it? I just literally lost my shit. Goosebumps, jumping about. The bloke in front that I've been chatting to, I'd said in about 70 minutes, the guy in front of me, he was shaking his head a little bit, and there were people that were moaning behind us going, it's 0-0 against 10 men. And there were 1 or 2 of those. Let's be right.
I was doing exactly the same. Exactly the same. I was one of them.
And I leant to the bloke in front of me and said, we need 1 second. I've gone back to Peterborough and thinking 98th minute, it takes a second to score a goal. And the moment that the goal went in, I grabbed him. I couldn't grab his hair because he's as bold as me. And I pulled his shoulder back and I've gone, what did I tell you? 1 second. That's all it takes. 1 second. And that were it. I'd gone.
Now, bear in mind, you're 6'3" and all, Steve, or 6'4", like, and you're a foot bigger than him because you sat behind him. I bet it looked like Ruud van Nistelrooy and Martin Keown. I bet it looked like you're going to eat him. Like, bloody hell. Now, Simon, you shared the day with your son, didn't you? And Ash. I mean, there must have been absolute scenes on toast around you.
It was mad. Well, to be honest, we were dropping like flies. The age of those extra 6 years was showing, wasn't it? Because Bannon couldn't walk anymore, so they had to sub in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody, Gregory, Iorfa, kept pulling up with cramp. It was a warm day, wasn't it? I mean, you got most of the sun. I mean, you guys. I mean, Holly still looks like she's factor 80 on. Yeah, it was proper hot where you guys were. And I was dreading penalties because I just thought, these guys are going to cramp up before they even take them. And when that goal went in, I just stood there aghast. I just stood there aghast while pandemonium went around me. I turned right to my son. He's in tears. He's absolutely crying in buckets. There was a chap.
Hang on. I'm not just going to gloss over that, Simon, here.
Yeah.
This is young Ethan that is designer CP factory, get the Valentino bag, old type the crew mandem.
He's home to anything. He's manscaped. He thinks he's God's gift, and it's a thing now with teenagers, Vic. And he's like dressed like me, bucket hat and everything, tears rolling down his face. There's a lad in front of us who's a massive listener to who lives in Weston-super-Mare, travels home and away, and he lives in Weston-super-Mare, a lad called Matt, who I bumped into Accrington. He was sat in front of us. He just turned round, and we all, and his son, and everybody just went this massive group hug as this huge swell and sigh of relief just fell on us to say, thank God it's not penalties.
4 seconds. 4 seconds.
It was amazing. Just one of the best. We were elated, and then I broke down as well. There's me and my son hugging each other, It was just crying, just crying. It was mental,
Hell
absolutely
of a
mental.
moment. Hell
Yeah,
of a moment. Now,
it
now,
was-
Vic, you've mentioned a couple of times you celebrated with your young un. I mean, did you also hug any strangers as well?
Oh yeah, me with broken back ended up with some random woman on my shoulders halfway through. Like, I mean, she didn't like jump on, but we had a good cuddle. I mean, she was fit. I'm not going to complain. Hug away. But yeah, it was the two girls behind us. They were lovely. Like, we've been chatting to them all game, been laughing with them, and then you feel like, I mean, John said it when we did the Hello from the Other Side or whatever we call it, the other podcast that I did with John McClure. When he said, like, when you walk into that football ground, it doesn't matter what age you are, what sex you are, what your sexuality is, what your gender is, what colour you are, where you're from, anything. You're all there for that same sort of religion. And when he said it like that, and I was like, yeah, that's literally how it is. It's like you could be anyone. You could literally be anyone, and you're all there for that same thing. So that goal going in, 44,999 other people wanted exactly the same as me, and it was just, I'll never forget it. But I roared. I absolutely roared. And then because the sun had come up and it was like right in our faces, and then you've got salty tears and whatever else, I've got the worst chapped lips now. I've spent £8 in the last 2 days on chuffing lip salve stuff. £8.
I am 42 years old now, and I have finally finished a Vaseline tub for the first time in my life.
We didn't need to know that.
And some of it went on my lips. So jot that down. So,
Christ.
Well, I'll give you a little alternate view that when Gregory got that ball, Adam sank to the ground in the fetal position with his hands over his head because he knew. And he said the roar when the ball hit the back of the net, he can still hear it now, all these days later. And then not just that, but he stayed on the ground. And then the whistle, the full-time whistle, straight away after, as soon as they'd started again, and then stopped.
There's something about that wave, isn't there?
So many other things, didn't it? Like, I think about Cheltenham away with that last-minute hit of the post.
Yes.
And
Forest Green
just been
Rovers.
so many of those moments. Yeah, Forest Green. There's been so many of those moments that, I think Stevie said earlier, it was like, oh, typical Wednesday, we're going to chuck it up. But nothing in this last 14 days has been typical Wednesday, has it? It's just, It's this like, like on Friends when they say, oh, you did a moniker and we're going to turn it into something positive. Is that what's happening now? Is like during a Wednesday, like scraping our way out of it? Is that what we do?
I reckon doing a Wednesday is still going to be doing a Wednesday, but when we do well, it's just going to be like Wendy, innit? You know what I mean? Because that's all we said. So that's all I said for 2 days. Wendy, innit? This pub's full. Wendy, innit? This urinal's full of piss. Wendy, innit? You know what I mean? Like, why is he a 10-year-old with a face like a 40-year-old with a flair? Wendy, innit? So that's what happened. Now, Holly, I was going to ask you about what you did when you celebrated the goal, but I was there. I just hugged you and your dad, because I had Blair with me. I got naned, and I had Blair with me, and he was having a wee, so I had nobody to hug. I just had that guy that I was slagging off Josh Windass at for 10 minutes, and then hugged him.
That inflatable onto not onto pitch, obviously, because it's really fat.
and then Blair just came. It was like a Hellman's mayonnaise advert, you know that noise, and he went, "I was scarred," and we went, "Well, look, not bad." Like, you know what I mean? and he just kept going, "Yeah, yeah."
He did that all night.
He was very drunk.
Such a good day.
He was Roly Birkin. He was Roly Birkin, wasn't he, off the Fast Show? He was like, yeah.
Like in a game show when they don't win and they go, "Have you had a nice day?" They go, "I've had a lovely day." That's all he kept saying.
I've had a lovely day.
I've had a lovely day.
I don't think he gets out much, does he?
He said, my granddad always used to go for a wee, and Wednesday always used to score, and Fudge, you just kept going, "You're the granddad! You're the granddad!"
Wendy, innit? You know what I mean? So as everything's calmed down, Josh Windass has sent us into the championship just for a couple of minutes, folks. I know it's going to be difficult given because we haven't had the released and retained list yet, and going forward and things like that. Vic, I'll come to you first. Like, how do you think we're going to fare? Because listening to Carlton Palmer on TalkSport the last couple of days, he's convinced we're going to go tearing up like Sunderland did into the playoffs next season.
Do you know what? Anything above 20th for me, I'm happy with. I think, this season, I said it a million times at the start of this season on the podcast that anything less than automatic was a failure. We literally couldn't have done any better than what we did. Any other season that's automatic. Every record's been broken, even down to me and Mo Rafa were out, as you know, home and away, Wendy. We were out on Saturday night and I was like, Google it. I was absolutely ratted. I was like, Google what the highest score is at Wembley, because I swear to God, that's going to be our record. And I was like, oh, Windass is going to score. And it's going to be father and son, 15 years apart. So I got that bit right. But I was just like, this season has been incredible. That I think we've just got to kind of go, for me, it's automatic. Like everyone said, if you could guarantee you'd win and you go up by the playoffs at Wembley, we'd all take it every day, wouldn't you? Hey! Oh, Wednesday, aren't we?
For those listening on audio medium, Holly's dragged Barnsley Dingle supporting son in just to mock him on camera on the internet.
Charlie, why are you still wearing that?
Yeah, Charlie.
He's put it on especially just to come in.
That needs burning now. It's bad luck.
You Greens.
That needs burning.
So Charlie, come here. Come closer to the laptop for me. Let me see you properly. Like, listen, Charlie. How was your Monday, pal? All right, yeah.
You're all right, other than game. And you,
I've not even said out.
So Charlie, when you saw your mum later on that day, or was it later that night, or was it the following day?
I came back the day after, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. How on a scale of 1 to 10, how unbearable was she?
8.5. I'll give it 8.5.
Oh, you see.
That's quite reserved.
Yeah, I haven't finished yet.
Oh no, it was the day after, really.
Charlie, how did it feel when that goal went in?
No comment.
Charlie, do you want to come to Hillsborough next year?
No.
I was going to say.
Mate, it's amazing, mate.
That is my favourite.
Oh, no.
Get Ethan in with CP Company.
That's
I was going to say, we're going to end up with Ash's kid. All these kids are we're going to lose our jobs. It's like, I tell you what, Simon, it's like people don't like listening to middle-aged white guys on the internet.
No, don't, mate. I'll tell you what, they'll be far better than we are. I'll tell you.
Isn't it? All right, then. So listen, let me knock that on the head anyway. So listen, Sheffield Wednesday, congratulations. So 1-1-0. We're in the championship. I think next year's championship is going to be quite difficult with the likes of Leicester coming down and Leeds and people like that. And like Vic says, I think staying mid-table is the best we can probably hope for. If we get a Sunderland meteoric rise to the playoffs, then I'll take it. But in the meantime, I'm going to take the summer off because it's going to take me that long to get over this hangover. I will tweet the video of Blair just doing what he did all day because that's hilarious. I want to thank you guys as well for joining me all this season. Who's not with me? We've not got Ash, we've not got John, we've not got Blair with us this evening. But Steve, Holly, Vic, Simon, thanks a lot for joining us this season. There's been a lot to talk about, hasn't there? And thanks a lot for helping me get through that month where we didn't win any week. You know what I mean? That was a lot of editing, and like some of the 0-0 draws I've had to edit into highlight reels and stuff like that. That's a lot of issue. But in the meantime, we'll stay tuned through the summer. We'll still be releasing the My Wednesday shows. If you do want to get involved, get involved. The socials are at the bottom of the screen right there. Stevie would like to say a thing.
It's a question. Have we not said that we're going to do a review of retained what's it list?
Do you know what? Yeah, but my enthusiasm.
I think Ash will run with that.
That's
a little plan.
Yeah, just a disclaimer. I think Ash, we've got designs on doing at least one more to talk about the players we're keeping, the players that are going.
I'll not lie. That's about as interesting as cheese to me. So
you can be that guy that sends out the second string while you're sat on a beach somewhere, mate.
Absolutely.
Spent most of
What's
the
the
year on a
country
beach
this summer?
already.
What are you doing this summer, Simon?
Me?
Yeah.
What am I doing? I'm going on holiday to Turkey in August.
Again, your teeth or your hair done?
No.
Then stop
Don't
wasting
need doing,
turkey.
mate. Don't need doing, mate. I'm all right. I'll keep wearing this. You'll see me on a beach wearing this.
You're not going to take it off, are you?
What are you
All right,
doing,
listen.
Dr. No, I'm not cutting off yet. What are you doing this summer?
I'm still recording here. The people are going to be listening to this shitty bit. Like, you know what I mean? All right, just check it.
Know what you're doing.
Do you know what? This is going to shock you, ladies and gents. Are you ready? I've not got a holiday booked until like September.
You can't have any holidays left. That's why at work. If you ever go to work,
My
Period
team's
one
absolutely
step.
empty.
How many holidays you had this year so far?
I've had. Hang on, let me think. Right, so January was Morocco. There's
This
been
is
Orlando
why.
in there.
Look, how many? Look,
Brazil,
Go. Morocco.
Morocco.
Brazil.
France.
And then
You've been to America.
there was France. Yeah, there was Orlando. There was. Oh God, I'm a spoiled little brat, aren't I? Christ Almighty, look at me. I don't know.
did you go to
How many's
Morocco or somewhere like that with
Even,
some
even
camels?
if you don't go any further than Brazil, Morocco, France, and America, you've been on 4 holidays this year in
3
4
continents.
different continents. 3 different continents. Brazil, Morocco, North
Germany.
America,
I went to
South
Germany. I went to Hamburg as well, didn't
So
I?
people of a certain age, you are actually the
Absolute
Judith
liability.
Chalmers. You're the Judith Chalmers of this podcast, aren't you?
Yeah.
If
I
you know,
just thought,
of a certain age,
He's
would
now the Jake
remember who Judith.
McDonald. That's the one.
Yeah.
Is this a good time to make me
Stephen?
where I can see now? I've got Dan here and I've got Molly here, and I'm looking at your lifestyle and I'm going.
it's going to cost you a fortune, mate. It's going to cost you a fortune. So
I
listen,
haven't been on holiday for 4 years.
there you are. You see
Stephen,
that?
Molly.
Molly, you've had your
Molly,
holiday.
What are you doing this summer?
Huh?
A paper
What are you
round to
doing
pay
this
for
summer?
weekends she's just had.
Nothing.
What are you two doing this summer?
We'll figure it out.
Nothing.
We'll figure it
Nothing.
out. Chilling.
That's
Caravan
boring.
holiday at Avon.
Holly?
No,
Holly, what are you doing?
no.
Hiding in the
Probably
shade,
still
working
gonna
on that
be
tan.
replaying that goal to Chad.
Running around with a banana. Quite literally.
Well, can I just say before we go, there were a humongous number of Wednesday fans in the old 90s shirts, even though it was absolutely boiling. I had this one on. I'm sorry to any person that I hugged because I was so sweaty. It was too warm. These are not made for summer. These are not made for summer. But everyone persisted with it anyway. So fair play.
Fair play. All right, listen, I'm glad that last bit was all right for everybody listening here. Thanks a lot for joining us. Have a good summer. See you later.